What's going on? We are statistically accumulated. I'm Ryan. That's Jarrod. Look at that. I finally pointed the right way.
Oh, missed it again.
Ah, what's going on, man? We're here to talk about sports stats, opinions, and whatever the hell else comes up along the way.
Absolutely. We were just talking pre-show, kind of, you know, dotting our Q's, slashing some P's and I's and all that good stuff here. And, just watching how that Celtics Nets game just ended. So I'm kind of going crazy here, trying to log in Twitter and share crap across that. So definitely excited for this week's show.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Actually, we were kind of paying attention to it, and I wasn't watching it physically. So I saw that the Nets were up by a point, and it was game over, and I was absolutely incorrect. I had to go watch the highlights because Tatum scores on a last second layup that we can kind of make the nomer that the Nets play no defense, so that's the issue that they have there in the first place. But pretty exciting. I mean, you get the NBA playoffs starting off this weekend. They kicked off yesterday, if I'm correct there. And that's realistically that's the highlight of sports this weekend. You had USFL. USFL played, and I don't know if you watched the game Saturday night, but it was pretty exciting.
I
I
watched
know.
the first touchdown that
Yep.
happened, and kind of was. I didn't really watch much of the game. I saw the first touchdown happen. It was kind of cool. It actually looked like a legitimate football play, which is the
Yep.
things you're looking forward to. But how social media kind of went bananas of saying Colin Kaepernick, why are you not trying to go out for a USFL team right now to show you can still play in the NFL? And I extend that out to anybody who thinks they can play in the NFL. This isn't a start the show off and go after Kaepernick, but it looks like it might be fairly legit and worth checking out. So.
Realistically, what was it? XFL 3 years ago, maybe it was right during that whole COVID thing, and that I think kind of broke the league itself of what it was. But you had a JP Walker, I believe, was the quarterback that played in the XFL that got drafted from or he didn't get drafted. He's got a slot on the Panthers and actually had some playing time for
I think
Carolina.
they picked him up in a supplemental draft, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah.
But just that opportunity, I feel like we'll make a bigger thing next year. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but the XFL will also be on next spring, summertime, and they do have a specific affiliation with the NFL in the fact that they are going to be like an R&D for the NFL. So if the NFL has an idea, they're going to be running it.
Yeah. I'll say we'll check it out then, but we got a whole lot of crap to talk about before then. Hopefully, about 50 episodes before that happens. And,
Yeah, exactly.
A whole seasons of sports to watch. So
we're gonna get back to the USFL though later on down the line. First up on the list, we saw this week Phil and Tiger did put in their registration for the U.S. Open. So it looks like both of them are going to be in there. And what better for golf than to have those two guys playing together? Not together, of course, in the same. Who knows? Maybe they go.
There's no
maybe
reason
they
they
go out
shouldn't
together.
team them up anyway, just for world rankings. But yeah, we talked about it last week and the week before, prior to the Masters. It's hard to not get excited to watch both these guys play golf, regardless of where they're playing. We can keep the match going all you want, but like anytime these guys are both playing at the same time, we're going to be watching.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's been years we've seen it happen, so it makes it super exciting. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I
Somebody's
had to put it
enjoying
up
it.
there. Hey, thanks, Tony. I know you're enjoying some time in Lower Alabama right now, so thanks for tuning in and joining us here.
But anytime those two guys are playing golf, it just adds to the field that's already pretty amazing out there. And I can guarantee you we'll be watching and talking about it. We'll cruise right into baseball. Before we get to the big news, and I think Kershaw is the big news of the week, at least to me. I think it was a decision. We'll call it that. But Hunter Green from the Reds, I don't know if you saw it over the weekend. Um, Officially in five in an inning or five, what is it, 5.1 innings pitched. He threw 39 balls of plus 100 miles an hour, which is an MLB record.
Okay, yeah. Definitely didn't see that, but I mean, it's kind of what we were talking about last week. That dude in Tennessee throwing 104, he threw 104, 103, 104, and three back-to-back pitches. But
There you go.
It's nowhere nearly 40 balls thrown. So
yeah, 40 balls of 100 miles plus. That's insane.
Yeah.
And it makes me think, because we're going to get into talking about a pitcher and longevity and what you should do with them. On the next point, Sasaki, the guy from Japan. They pulled him from a perfect game. He had what 14 Ks in the eighth inning of a perfect game, and he just threw a perfect game his last game,
Yeah,
a
something
19K.
almost 40K or close to 40K between two games, and something like 52 appearances without or 52 plate appearances without letting somebody get on base. Ridiculous. And we're building this up, we're rolling right into what we're going to talk about in a second, but it's just absolutely insane. So maybe I wanted to throw up the picture of Paul Rudd from Role Models and say, congratulations, you suck in two different countries talking about baseball. So I meant to bring that up earlier. But
Oh man, I love it. So
ridiculous.
so we'll roll right into Kershaw, and I'll put this across the bottom here. It's over, I think, 220,000 Major League Baseball games have been played. We're probably in a number that's absolutely insane. There's been what 23 perfect games pitched, I believe,
Ever.
is the
Ever.
number. So you've got a 0.0001% chance. What's that? A tenth of a thousand, or I don't even know where we're going. We're
There is
in
no
that
way I
one.
can even do that math, but it's a
but
lot
but that
or not a
that's
lot.
the yeah, that's the number, the chances you have of throwing a perfect game as a professional pitcher in Major League Baseball. And we'll go into it. Clayton Kershaw was in what, the eighth inning, I believe it was.
Eighth inning, 89 pitches, I believe, was the total pitch count.
Yeah, so they pulled him from that, and the Dodgers have made an investment in him, so I understand like they get to make that decision. But if it was a no hitter in my brain, I'm like, okay, who cares? It's a no hitter. No hitters get thrown all the time now, it seems like. But a perfect game is something that doesn't happen very often in baseball. And to not give him the opportunity seems like a crazy, I don't know, a crazy idea in my mind. To he's got it going, might as well let it happen. It's beginning of the season. What do you think about it? I got a couple notes on it. I'll go
So
into once.
I'm looking at Kershaw right here, right? So he's got, I mean, the man's played in like 330 games, 380 games. Um, he's got 20, almost 2,500 innings pitched. You know what? I feel like he's seasoned enough to take another 2 innings. Obviously, I don't know. I'm not trying to say that I can speak on pitch count and things of that nature because I clearly can't. But he's got one no hitter thrown in 2014. So the no hitter means nothing to him at this point, is the way I look at that. Yeah, 2 no hitters is great, but until you start getting to that 8, 9 plus, those no hitters aren't going to matter as much, 20 years from now. I would love to hear the conversation, of between him and management, prior to that eighth inning going in, or prior to the seventh inning, if you will.
I do believe the Dodgers manager. I don't know why my brain is thinking right now. I'll pull it
doesn't
up here
matter.
in a second. No, but I believe this is the second time he has done this in his career. Is pulling a perfect game pitcher, seventh, eighth inning. Yeah, there you
Okay.
go. So okay, just a couple things thinking about that. They did have a shortened spring training, so maybe they're worried about the arm. Maybe it's not where it should be or something like that. I don't know. You're throwing a perfect game. I bet you're throwing pretty good. The other team can't seem to hit it.
I mean, it's hard to look at this it's easy to look from the outside in, if you will. I'm going to go a couple of different ways to this. We spent, we're in the 4th episode of this show. We had a show with several episodes before this we talked about, and then all the stuff in between. You and I have texted, we've talked in person, and all of our friends in our chats, we talk about, the, multitudes of, levels of sports and everything else we talk about. But we always kind of, return to, man, there's just certain things that sports don't do for us. And it's across all sports. There's things in football and basketball that I can't stand, but there's more things in baseball that I can't stand than I can enjoy. And where I'm going with this is, you had a terrible offseason. You had a lockout. You missed a couple of weeks. You're still going to cram 162 games into a shortened season. This is the kind of stuff where you buy back your fans and buy new fans by going to this. I feel like there's an obligation. You hear about the unwritten rules of baseball, which we might actually talk about some other stuff that's happened this week. Maybe not. That shows you how much I've really prepared to talk about baseball, but I feel
It's
like
minimal.
it's minimal. I do feel like baseball in general owed it to the casual fan or the any fan who's tuning in, to a highlight reel or anything, to go for it. It's early enough in the season. Is he showing any reason that he's going to be hurt? If he's showing signs that he's going to be hurt right now, yeah, absolutely pull him. But he probably shouldn't be pitching in the first place if it's his First start of
Is
the
this
year.
first start? First
First
start,
start
yeah.
of the year, and you're already pulling him on an 89 pitch count, which we're going to throw up a stat here in a minute and a picture to follow along with like just how much baseball has changed. So I just wanted to put that out there. Of this is how you win guys like me over who are casual fans of just wanting to watch greatness in sports in general. This is how you win me over is if I see a perfect game being pitched.
Yeah, I agree completely. Just a couple more things I had about Kershaw and maybe the decision that went into it. He's definitely had back issues before, so like that could be a problem. But it doesn't look like that. Last year was the first time he had elbow issues, which is I think the big problem that led to this. They're trying to watch out for their investment and. Hope that doesn't happen to him again. They want to be a contender. So that's where you're looking at the long term. Is this good for the team? But like you said it, and I'll end it on it is this is a spectator sport. The fans are watching it. You've had a horrible offseason. You guys have not owners haven't agreed with players, and there's a reason that baseball might not have happened this year. Um, one way to win it back, you said it perfectly, is to do something like this, a
Yeah.
perfect game to start the season off. Now you've got everybody chomping at the bit, trying to figure out, maybe I'll watch a game or two and see what happens here and build up some fandom. And to just take them out, I don't know. I think I'm on the side as the spectator and the fan of entertainment more than a baseball purist because I wouldn't call myself that at any point in the day. Um, that's what you want to see. I saw somebody post a couple days ago, maybe it was a week ago, how the steroid era, if you want to call it that, of baseball was just absolutely insane, and it made people want to watch baseball. I can tell you right now, if some dude's juiced up and every time he walks to the plate, there's a chance that a dinger is going to go over the, left field wall of fans out into where God knows where the parking lot. I'd rather watch that than watch a pitcher get pulled in the eighth inning that has a chance for a perfect game, which is something that doesn't happen ever.
I can't think of any time where, you know, 20 years ago, we were watching football, late September, October, and it'd be nothing for, hey, let's take a break from this, prime time football game to watch Barry Bonds try to go for number 70 right now. Like,
Yep.
that shit was really happening, man. It was kind of crazy. During Monday Night Football, there were breaks to watch these guys, during the great home run race before Barry Bonds' record breaking season. Like, it was wild, man.
Yeah,
Um,
it changed baseball and it made it more prominent, I feel like. And the fans that were there for that have definitely, fallen off the bandwagon of baseball because of the way it's been going. I just hope they can figure something out. Baseball needs something. And I've seen the players that are coming in and they're definitely like less of the baseball purist type player. They're loud. They want to be out there. They're flipping bats. They're
yeah.
chirping, talking away, and it's awesome to watch. And they need more of it.
I mean, just man, I feel like we could just almost do a whole episode on this, but I don't know if you saw what happened on Wednesday. Padres Giants had a game. I can't give you the overall score, but I know at one point, I think, well, I got to look it up here. I had to bring it up.
You look it up and
Did you even
look
see
it
what
up.
happened here? No,
No, I didn't.
there was a Giants Padres game. I think it was on the 12th. They had back to back games, and there was the first unwritten rule of baseball, broken this season. There was a bunt in like the third or fourth inning when one team was
Yeah.
up like 9-1, and teams are still
Yep.
trying to score. I don't know if you know this in the collective bargaining that happened this year. That was one of the things that were incentivized were to keep scoring after you're up by so much. So the more you win by, there's incentives that these teams
Yeah.
get each year or each game. So this unwritten crap, this pitch count crap. I think it's crap. I'm gonna say it
I'm done
again.
with it.
I'm done with it. Um, no, I don't know, man. Juice it up. Let's see something great, man. I want to see perfect games. Last year there were like 10 no hitters thrown. I want to see
Yeah.
25 of them. I want to see 5 perfect games. I want to see
Yep.
600-foot home runs. Like I see that stuff. I'm going to be absolutely dialed into baseball. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm moving 30 minutes away from a major baseball stadium. And it just gives me more reason to go watch a game. They're super fun to
Yeah.
watch in person, but
Think about it this way. I think the biggest thing in baseball over the last, let's say, 14 months has been Shohei Otani out there in
yeah.
LA. He not only is he pitching, but he's also hitting the ball like a champion. First guy I can think of in my lifetime, realistically, that plays both sides of that baseball and does it. as an all-star. Let's call it that. Does it at the all-star level. And it has definitely made me like, I'm like, man, I might watch an Angels game here or there or something like that. You know what I mean? So I feel like the players are getting somewhere and they're wanting to bring this into light more, and maybe baseball needs to change at the top of the levels of the way they're thinking. I don't know. I don't have the
Yeah.
answers for baseball.
Speaking of Otani, and I sent you a text when this happened. It was on April 10th. Was that Monday or Tuesday? Whenever this happened,
Yeah.
he hit the hardest. It's the hardest hit of his career. It's the hardest recorded hit of a left-handed batter since they could measure how hard balls were hit, 119 miles an hour, and it was a ground rule double. That was pretty phenomenal to watch him. I mean, he smokes this ball. So
Yeah.
I will say that if there's anybody who's going to get me excited about watching baseball, it's right on par with whatever this guy's doing. Just exactly what you said. He's getting me excited to watch it. So
All right, put it up. You got to put it up, man, because I grew up with him. And baseball, to me, this is what pitching was when I was a kid. And then you had so many great pitchers over the years. But what's that? 235 pitches against the Red Sox, made the next start 3 days rest, then pitched 19 more years. So
he
you
was
can't tell
almost
me.
he was almost 30 years old whenever he did this. I think he was 29 whenever he
So
did that.
you just can't tell me that, like, I understand, teams are worried about their investment and everything, but I feel like baseball forgets it's also a business, and it's got to do something that makes its business stand out. And right now it's not. There's three sports I'd rather talk about and watch than baseball.
What's Nolan Ryan worth in today's game if these dudes are making $40 million a year?
But do you think it's funny. I think you said it to me. Could you imagine Nolan Ryan, eighth inning, gets off the mound? He's thrown a perfect game so far, and the manager's like, "Hey, man, we're putting in, Jim Beam over here so he can finish out the game." I bet you Nolan Ryan throws punches.
I would like to think he just ripped the fastball into the dugout, like just absolutely just sends a Hummer down through there. It'd be absolutely awesome. But yeah,
I don't think he's having it. So it is what it is, and baseball, figure it out. I'll write you a letter. I'll put the statistically opinionated letterhead on there. We'll throw you a letter and say, "Hey, make it more interesting."
I'll tell you what, we got a logo we can throw up there. There you go.
Boom.
Get with our secretaries. We have two, maybe three. I don't know. And and we'll try to cut something out with you guys. But yeah, we'll continue to talk baseball as it goes on here. Maybe we'll get up to 2 viewers as we do this. But who knows? Let's move on to something else. I'm about tired of talking baseball.
NBA.
Yeah.
All right, so we started the playoffs. Obviously, yesterday you had Timberwolves beat the Grizzlies, which I don't think anybody expected. Maybe not expected, but the number 2 team should win. So that's what you think in your brain, right?
Yeah.
You also had who else played yesterday? Toronto, Philly, Utah, Dallas. So you had some games. I mean, Golden State, Denver.
Yeah, I'm trying
I
to
don't
pull
think
it up
anything was
here.
crazy. I don't think anything was crazy. Realistically, Philly should beat Toronto, and they did. Golden State did beat Denver. Jokic, he had a good game, but there's a lot to stop in Golden State if they're all playing together, and that's not fun to go up against. And I think the big news out of yesterday, other than Minnesota actually winning the game, I messaged you. I said, "Hey, man, Carl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards." I feel like if they get one more role player, maybe not a role player, maybe somebody else that can come in and just play another big part in that role, that team's scary because the old Big Cat, he knows how to play down low, and Anthony Edwards is he's balling out. So
I'll leave an open challenge here. There was a discussion on one of the groups that we follow. It was on Ready Break. I may have shared it over to Ready Break, or it was shared over there, but I definitely commented on this. Carl Anthony Towns, by the numbers, is the greatest big man shooter we have ever seen. And I mean, the numbers absolutely back it up. The dude's legit. He is 100% legit. And I won't argue that at all. So, yeah, man, get him another moving piece. I don't really see an issue with that. But, like, now you got small market,
that's the biggest issue, right?
You need a Kevin Garnett to come in and actually buy your ball club right now. That way you can start,
or you get a guy in the draft, which I mean, it sucks for them this year. They're in the playoffs, so of course they're not going to be higher up in the draft to pick some guys that are big namers that'll take care of business. But man, you pick up someone in the draft that could possibly play that third role there, and you're making Minnesota a team, back 20 years ago when Garnett got there, and they an actual exciting team,
They were legit.
relevant. Yeah,
Absolutely legit, which is they're legit now. But yeah, it's man, social media and primetime games, and the fact that the NBA makes like $8 billion or $10 billion a year, it makes
insane.
these small market teams really hard. It makes it really tough for them to compete with the LAs and the New Yorks and the Miamis and stuff like that, and Chicago's. It's really tough to compete with them. But uh, young squad. I was trying to look at the other games that were played here, and I accidentally clicked on it. There was also
Utah, Dallas. For Luca not playing, they were still pretty close. Utah won by 6 points.
yeah,
Luca is also out next game, which is what, tomorrow, I
the
believe.
18th. Yeah, tomorrow. If
Okay,
he's not playing tomorrow and they lose, they go down 2-0.
I think
It's going to
that's
be tough
it
to
because
come back.
they lost 2 home games if they do that, and
Yeah.
that's not good. Today you had the Heat. Heat took care of business against Atlanta. Capella didn't play for Atlanta, so that kind of makes it a bit tough for him. Big role player that's out. Miami looked good though. They played some good basketball. Then
115-91. Yeah.
yeah. Then you had Brooklyn, Boston. We talked about that. Came down to the final second. Boston took it out.
Still watching
Um,
it. I've still got it pulled up right here. I thought the game. I told you we were talking back and forth. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
I know.
Nets
It's
win.
over.
They
That's
get one.
okay. And as a matter of fact, I think I said that's not good for Boston because if you lose one at home, you got to face Kyrie and Kevin Durant, 6 more times.
Yeah.
uh,
So it's
right now, you got Milwaukee and Chicago going on, and I believe Milwaukee's putting a good number on them. I don't have it put up right now.
up by 10, 7:38 to go in the second quarter. Looks like
Okay.
Giannis is kind of already taken off. I've got it pulled up. Yeah, Giannis has already got 13 and 11.
All right, so we're looking at NBA playoffs. We've got about 3 months of NBA playoffs because that's how it works, right? June is the finals, I believe.
It always goes. It goes NBA playoffs, 2 weeks of off season, back into the regular season every year, and it just keeps getting longer.
So you're looking at all these teams. All right, give me a pick out of the West, even though Phoenix hasn't played yet, so I give you the disadvantage. But give me a pick out of the West.
All right. I want to pick Phoenix. They're the number 1 seed. They've played far better than everybody this year. But I'm going to have to say this: Golden State's going to come out of the West. The big three have only played together for 38 minutes all season. There's your like crazy stat of the day that I can give you in the NBA. I got one.
Boom, put it out there.
Got one more to follow, but they've only played together for 38 minutes. If it was any other big three in the NBA, we would say that's probably a big deal. But these guys have been playing together for like 10 years, 9 years already.
They know how to
they'll
win.
be okay. They know how to win. They know how to play together, right?
Yeah.
I would say they have probably the easier run because if they win, they go through Memphis, T-Wolves. More than likely, they're going to be playing Phoenix. Something about this says Golden State has an easy ride through the West just because they come in with that number 3 seed, and it's going to work out pretty well for them.
I like it. I believe this week, maybe it was Draymond. I forget who it was. They were asked about the 73 win season. They didn't win the championship.
I'm glad you brought it up.
But 73 win season, and I believe collectively across the board, they all agreed like this is the greatest NBA season that's ever existed with a team, and you can't argue that with them. They were good.
We all agree that Bulls team, 97 Bulls, the 72 win season, and as big of a Jordan hater than I am, I will never deny the greatness of that team. That is the best team he has ever played on. All right, yeah. That is pinnacle Jordan right there. Even his 36, 37 points per game seasons he had prior to that, but that is pinnacle Jordan. I would argue the Cavs team that won the championship against Golden State that year is a better team on the all-time list of teams than that Golden State team because they came back from a 3-1 deficit with a broke-ass Kyrie and a broke-ass Kevin Love. I mean, those guys were destroyed that game. And look, it is out of all of the blemishes on LeBron's career, that is one of the 4 or 5 or 6 times in his career that he has absolutely shined was in that series. And he absolutely dominated them.
Fair enough. I didn't think they could do it being down like that. And of course, Golden State did have I can't remember the name right now. I don't know why I can't remember the name. They had Kevin Durant, right?
On there. They had Durant. That's where Draymond got suspended. Remember he took he kicked kick somebody in the nuts for like the
Yep.
15th time in the playoffs. He got suspended and missed the last game or two of the season or of the
Yep.
series. But like, I mean, that Cavs game or Cavs team is the only team to ever come back 3-1. I think up until like 2 years ago was the only team ever to come back 3-1 in the playoffs, much less did it in the finals. So they
Yeah.
can call themselves all they
I
want. They have 3 chips together, so I guess they can say whatever the hell they want. But like,
yeah, they totally
bogus,
can.
absolutely bogus.
I
You're not even the top
I
10 greatest basketball teams.
I'll say this about Golden State and in the state they're in. So those three guys, Clay, Steph, and Draymond, the three of them together, I believe they changed basketball. I'll say that they changed basketball to a shooting game. Let's call it that
Absolutely.
because I grew up playing basketball. When I ran down the court on a fast break, it was a layup. You were going for a layup. You weren't taking an open jumper at the 3-point line. There was no way on earth if I did that, I was sitting on the bench the
You
next
didn't
second.
play the next series.
Yeah, I was on the bench. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So they changed the way, and I believe Kerr kind of gave him that like, hey, I've read his quotes on it, and I know he has said, hey, you miss 2-pointers as often as you miss 3-pointers. You might as well go for the extra point, like that type of mentality. And you better cover Clay and Steph anywhere on the court. There's no doubt in my mind if they're at the half court line, somebody better be on them because they're going to put up a shot and put it in. So they've changed the game the way it's gone. It's tough to argue against them though to say they weren't the greatest team, but they didn't win, and that's all I can say about that one.
When it's all said and done, maybe this is one of those we keep, forecasting. We are definitely going to do an episode or two this summer where we start talking all-time greatest teams and players and stuff like that, because that's how you kind of fill in the crap between seasons. And there's going to be a blank space of about late July where we're trying to find shit to talk about.
Yeah,
But
because USFL ends, I believe, right before July 4th. I believe
yeah,
that's their championship game. So we're gonna get. I won't say we'll get hot and heavy into it. I watched yesterday, kind of, and then I
I
watched
mean,
today.
there's going to be
It's
players
football.
playing right here that's going to be playing in the NFL this year. That's just how
Yep.
that's going to happen. But um, we're looking at this Golden State team, and if we made a list of easily top 10 shooters of all time, they've got 2 of them.
Yeah.
They've got the greatest shooter to ever live, and Klay Thompson's probably, I mean, he's creeping top 5, top
He's
6.
undershadowed. He's shadowed behind the fact that Steph's on the team with him.
He's going to finish his
And
career number 2 in threes.
I hate to say it because he's an amazing
Yeah.
shooter. Like he is what he is. All right. So you're I like that Golden State pick out of the West. If you're gonna
I
go
am going to go with
east,
Golden State.
if you're gonna go east, let's say east right now in the playoffs
Oh,
out of the East.
I'm sticking with who I picked in episode 1. I'm sticking with the Bucks to win it all. So
Okay. I hate picking against the former champions, especially when they bring back who they did. They had everybody they had with them, so it's tough to pick against them. But at the end of the day, my Miami Heat are still number one seed in the East. They're going to have some trials and tribulations throughout it, though, because defensively they play good. Offensively, one night they might be fantastic and score 115 points. Next night they might score 90,
yeah,
and it makes it difficult to play a lot of these teams. They're playing Atlanta. Trae Young might put up 50 points next game, and what do you do if you only score 90 points as a team? So I'm still going to pick Miami. I understand their faults and where they lie, but it's hard to go against them. They have Bam. Bam's a great defensive player of the year candidate. We're going to get into all that. He didn't play enough games. They've got Tyler Hero. He's a phenomenal shooter. I believe he led the Heat as the Sixth Man Award nominee in points. So they've got guys. They got Butler, Lowry. They've got a cast of people, and as crazy as it sounds, I know Udonis is about 50 years old and he's still playing for the Heat. He's got that mentality that the Heat have had, let's say past 2 decades where they've been relevant in basketball, because I watched them before that and they weren't.
yeah.
So he's got that mentality in him that he knows how to win a championship and he knows what it takes. I'm going to pick the Heat. All right.
I like the Heat for the fact that if Toronto wins, if Toronto can win that series against Philly, the Heat have a way easier run through the conference finals, because Milwaukee's got Chicago now. Chicago's no rollover team, and then Boston and Brooklyn are going to beat the crap out of one another. But like that bottom part of that bracket is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
It could come down to where Miami kind of runs through Atlanta, possibly runs through Philly or Toronto, and then you're playing a Milwaukee or a Boston team who's already played 12 games or
Six,
whatever.
yeah, they played
Whatever.
14 games straight
Yeah.
and they're exhausted. I don't know. You
So
never know, and that's the fun part about the NBA is that like once you hit the playoffs, although it gets to me it gets dragged out really really long. I think they
oh
need to
yeah.
fix that. But you might have some series where it's just yeah, you beat a team, but you put everything into beating that team, and that's all you got left.
Yeah, it's it across both the East and the West, like the top, the 1 seed and the 8 seed, if the 8 seed was to win, have it pretty easy moving forward, but the middle of those brackets are just brutal on both sides. So
All
let's
right.
talk about some awards.
Yeah, so NBA awards finalists came out. I believe what they do is they have sports writers that vote on the finalists, and then that gets put out. And I think it's the end of the year is when all of it gets voted on and actually put out. So I we're gonna start. Let's say the bottom maybe, and we'll move up to MVP at the very end.
Okay.
Let's go Coach of the Year. So Monty Williams in Phoenix, Taylor Jenkins for the Grizzlies, and then JB Bickerstaff for the Cavs are, I believe, the finalists that are in that bracket. Um, what do you think, man? What do you got there? I
Uh,
know who I'm picking.
I believe they moved up Spolstra into second place for Coach
Yeah,
of the Year. I think it's a no-brainer
I love
for
Spo.
Monty Williams. Yeah, I
You think
mean,
so?
yeah, I mean you finish number one in the NBA. You pretty much kind of
Greatest
keep the run.
record, best record.
Best record
You
in Suns history. 3 years ago, they were like 18-64, and now they're 64-18 or something bananas like that. It was a
I
huge,
they also,
remarkable turnaround.
they did have guys that were out throughout the season too. So
Yeah,
playing that game of continuing to stay on top and moving. I'm not gonna lie. I'm opposite of you. I went Taylor Jenkins for the Grizzlies, and my big thing there was they're the number 2 seed. The Grizzlies have not been relevant for quite some time. At least a decade, I believe. When what the Gasols were there, and
yeah.
you had big play, but also Jaw was out 24 games, I believe, so a quarter of the season, a third of the season,
At one
and
point, they were 18-2 without John Morant, and that's
they still
absolutely
did
unacceptable
that.
to their coach.
Yeah, he is the superstar of that team. So for them to still maintain the second seed there, and I don't want to give the East, and say the East is a dumpster fire or anything over there, but the West to me typically over the years has had a better lineup of competition, if we want to call it that.
Yeah,
So I went with the Grizzlies. I think you can go either way though. I don't think it's a lose lose either way. They both did something that was pretty amazing for both sides of that.
I think it'll finish with Monty. Personally, Monty with number one, Taylor Jenkins number two, and then you got the Celtics head coach with was it Ime Udoka.
Yep.
They went 26-6 since the All Star break, and
Okay.
ended up being the number 2 seed overall in the East. So
I like it.
huge run there at the end, and you got two superstars in your team. But I think Monty's going to run away with it. But if him or Jenkins took it, it would be an issue. I think Vegas has Monty pretty high odds to take it right now.
Okay. So we'll move up. We'll go to most improved player. I believe it was like what John Morant, Darius Garland, and I don't know who
Murray,
else was on it.
so
Yeah.
DeJounte Murray from San Antonio, Miles Bridges. Just to let you know how far away this is run away. John Morant is a minus 833, while Darius Garland's a plus 600. This is already
Yeah.
decided. It is John Morant, who is a
Yeah.
absolute superstar right now.
So I think the argument that people are having is the fact that he is a superstar, and we knew he was what number 2 behind Zion, I believe, in the draft. So he was the
Yeah.
number 2 pick behind him. So you knew the guy was going to be great. But what he did from last year to this year, I feel like sets him apart. He went from that star to that guy that, like we've talked about it, he's going to be fun to watch for years to come. The guy
Yep.
plays basketball, and it's awesome to watch. He's going to carry the NBA in that type of mentality.
He went from, I'm going to read some of his numbers across. This is from last year to this year 19.1 points to 27.4 points. Blocks, he went from 0.2 to 0.4. So that's, I mean, you doubled your amount of blocks. Assists dropped a little bit, but your rebounds went from 4 to 5.7. Free throw percentage went up almost 5%. Free throw attempts went up almost 2 a game. 2-point percentage is up 4%. 3-point percentage is up 5%. Like across the board, total field goal percentage is up almost 6%. Like the dude stepped up, all in the same amount of minutes per game. The dude, took over as being the leader of his team,
Yeah,
albeit he only played 7 games.
and I feel like that's a testament to what he's going to become. I think it's absolutely amazing. I
It's
think we
awesome.
both agree there, though. Jaw's taking this one, and if he doesn't, we'll talk about it. I can promise you that.
Yeah, that'll be a discussion we'll have.
All right, so what is it? 6 man.
Yep. Here's another
Um,
one that Vegas has absolutely no way of anybody else winning this.
I didn't even write anybody else down because I've watched the Heat. I know who Tyler Hero is. He led the Heat in points for the season as the 6 man. There's no way in my mind he's not taking this. Like, hey, he will be a superstar down there. Maybe not a superstar. He'll be a star down there. And I think it'll be fun to watch. He's definitely taking it though. I don't even have names for the rest of it, to be honest with you.
So I kind of messed up and didn't save the article, but he played in like 67 games this year, I believe. 66 games. 66. He started 10 and came off the bench for 56 of them. The 10 games he started, he shot like 5% less, scored 5 points less per game. He was significantly worse as a starter and led his team in points and something else as off the bench. Is pretty cool. I mean, you don't really see that too often, but Vegas has him winning, and it's not even close.
Nah,
He's minus
I think
1,000 right now, and the next is Kelly Ovier Jr. from the Hornets, who's a plus 1,300. Like, there's a
yeah,
better chance that I make it before that second place dude gets it right there. So
exactly. All right, so defensive player of the year. And I think this is going to lead into a bit of a conversation we can have just because of, okay, so you got Marcus Smart out of Boston, and then you've got what's his name, Mikal Bridges. I think those are the two big guys um, that are on it. I think there's a couple other dudes who you got here. Jaren Jackson Jr., Rudy Gobert was another one. Bam Adebayo has been talked about. A couple of those guys.
did you say Robert Williams?
No, I
From the
didn't.
Celtics?
I did not. Yep, he is. So I think the odds are Marcus Smart. He does play defense, and he's a guard, so he'll be the first one to do it, I believe, since Gary Payton did it in the '90s, which is pretty impressive. Yeah, you can look that one up, huh? Mid '90s, maybe Gary
Did
Payton.
Kobe not have a defensive player of the year? I thought he did.
No,
I think you're right. I think that was one of the things taken away from Kobe. I will tell you that Bridges and Smart were the only two unanimous All NBA decisions this year. So out of the entire All NBA 3 teams, they were the only two that were both unanimous. It will come from one of those two.
Yep.
Now you start talking their impact. I think Smart's going to actually get it, but
you think so? So for me, the reason I actually picked Bridges. I think this is his 3rd year in the league. It might be 4th. I might be wrong there. He's also played. He's never missed a basketball game in the NBA. Let's call it there.
it's his fourth year. Yeah.
Yeah. And defensively, he has taken over there. The reason I don't like Smart and I give Bridges that edge, the Celtics play phenomenal defense as a team. So to me, Smart might get a little bit of an advantage where he's got 4 other guys on the court that play phenomenal defense with him. I'm not saying he didn't do a good job. I think he did an amazing job, but I believe I can give someone as defensive player of the year someone that has to worry about everybody else behind him when he's playing defense. I don't know. That's the way I thought of it. I like Bridges.
I'm trying to, man, there's the numbers here are just kind of crazy. I think your biggest one you're going to say for Bridges is that the fact he didn't miss a game this year, and he's actually only missed, I think every game he's played every game he started. That's kind of crazy. He didn't have any games
Absolutely
off.
insane.
He had a 73 game season last year and a 72 the year prior, and then 82 as a rookie. But I can't see why he missed those other 10 games. The fact he's 4 years in and has 309 games. He has more games this year than what Zion has in his career. So
there you go.
Getting kind of crazy. Like, I think either one of those are come up. Like that was one of the ones I have a mark here. Like, I think all of the ones that we have picked so far are pretty much Vegas has dialed in who's going to win it, but this is going to be the closest run of all the awards.
Yeah, and I think when it's done and over with, if either of those two guys get it, we're both going to sit here and be like, "Yep, I agree." Like it is what it is. That's what happened.
Ooh.
What'd that face go?
Paul Bridges only averaged 1.7 fouls per game, which is I want to see what Smart has against him because
From
that
a
would
defensive standpoint, that sounds insane.
yeah.
Because defensively, you're not only locking down someone, but you're also not fouling him to do it.
Well, generally, later in the season, you're probably guarding the best guy on the court too. So,
Well, and you got to
uh,
think who Bridges has guarded. He's been out there against, what he's God. I cannot remember right now who's he got out there.
well, Bridges is what 6'7".
Yeah,
I mean, he's guarding pretty much anybody who's playing point forward or bigger. So it doesn't really matter
exactly.
at that point. So, yeah, it's both. He averaged 1.8 fouls per game, and then Marcus Smart was at 2.3. That might be what sets it across.
And like I said, it's a very fine piece in there that just kind of makes the meter move side to side. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll bring it back up once it does happen. All right.
Oh man, God, I can really like get down the rabbit hole on this dude. It's crazy.
Rookie of the year. So I believe the finalists are Mobley, Barnes, and Cunningham.
Yes.
Who you got?
So I believe it's down to Mobley and Barnes. Both of them had a 58% win percentage between the two while they're on the court. Only two, and I believe they're the. I gotta fact check this, but Scotty Barnes was top 5 in every major statistical category this year, and only the second rookie to ever do it.
That's pretty
behind Luka Doncic.
That's pretty good.
Mobley's the guy from Cleveland here, so look at where they're at as far as a team. I mean, you can make the argument here, but I think Barnes is probably going to take it, just for the fact of it is a stat-driven sport, right? And I mean, you sit here dominate across the statistical lines. Like I'm always going to root for the guy who's tearing up the stat sheet.
So Mobley was 15 points a game. Barnes was 15.3. Cunningham actually was 17.4. I believe he led rookies in points per game. He played in Detroit, which of course you got a little bit better chance of scoring more points there because there isn't many people playing professional basketball in Detroit right now. But for me, I had Mobley. Mobley led all rookies in rebounds, blocks, and double doubles.
God, that's awesome.
So in my mind, I was like, I love that we got this back and forth because I agree with you. If Barnes is leading categories like that, where he's doing something it's not seen very often, I agree with you. Like It's hard to argue. But then you got a guy he's leading rookies, which is what he's going up against in those categories. I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm gonna go Mobley. I like what he's doing. To be honest with you, somehow Cleveland has pulled out of the LeBron James dumpster fire that's left behind when he leaves.
Absolutely.
And they're looking like a better and better team every year.
They're looking like a team that LeBron might want to go to.
And funny enough, Kevin Love is sitting there. Maybe he's laughing. I don't know. He's like the old veteran that's hanging on and is just like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's bring these young guys together and see what happens. Let's roll with it.
He's also still making $20 million a year to be a six man right now. So he's living life right now.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with this one. I've got it booked, Mark. Those two, defensive player, rookie of the year, I think will be a good talk once the awards come out. Then we got MVP. MVPs, is it hard to argue this one?
I don't see how you do argue it. We talked about it last week with Nikola Jokic being the first ever 2,000, 1,500 guy. But I'm going to throw out even two other stats. It's actually 8, but 2 lines. Highest PER in NBA history was this year.
Really?
By Nikola Jokic. Jordan never had a PER this high. Wilt, which is even crazier. I don't even think about Jordan. I think of PER. I think LeBron, Durant, and Wilt, those guys who were like really key focal pieces on some kind of shitty teams for a while. But even those years where Jordan was scoring 38 a game, 37 a game, he didn't have a PER that high. He also led his team in all 6 major statistical categories.
Yep.
First time it's ever happened, and it's the reason they say it's the first time it's ever happened because they do believe Wilt may have done it back in the early 60s, but steals and blocks were not recorded until like 67, 68. So since those were recorded stats, he's the first player to ever lead your team. It's like steals, blocks, it's assist, rebound,
Rebounds,
points, and then field
points.
goal percentage.
That's crazy.
It's absurd, and he's a freaking center that's doing it.
Yeah.
Like
So that was
crazy.
the big thing I was going to bring up is the fact that he is a center doing what he's doing. I'm reading a stat right here, which in my brain, makes me crazy. 19.5 points per 100 possessions is his net rating, right?
Yeah.
The Sixers with Embiid is 11.3 points. Like that's how much of a difference that's winning a basketball game
What was
in
that
my
first number?
mind.
What was it? What was Jokic's number again?
19.5.
That's absurd. That's why Embiid's not the MVP. Done.
But the other big thing, and Embiid's gonna complain that the media is against him because I've already seen it happening. But the other thing I had was just reading about coaches talking about having to play Jokic. They're 100% like, I don't know if we stop him from shooting tonight, because if we do that, he's going to pass the ball so efficiently that people are going to score points around him. So there's no win or lose with him. He's either going to score the points or he's going to hand the ball off to somebody else who's going to put it there, and he's going to do it very efficiently.
I believe they said it's the first time since 1962 that a player has been top 10 in the league in points, rebounds, and assists.
That's great.
Think
No
about
doubt in
that.
my mind.
Russell
Yeah, no
Westbrook
doubt.
had a triple double for a season for 3 out of 4 seasons, and still didn't have that happen.
No doubt in my mind then, and I think we agree on that. Last week we agreed on it. This week we kind of agree on it. And man, who knows? I want to see it.
Embiid numbers right now, right? So Embiid's 30.6, 11.7, 4.2 at 50%. Jokic is 27.1, 13.8, 17.9, and it shot almost 60%.
Yeah, I mean, look at that
That's
number.
absurd. His PER is 32.8. So Embiid's 31.2 would have been like a top 10 PER ever. And then Jokic is the best.
Hands down. Boom.
His win shares is also 3.2 higher than Embiid. That's insane. That's insane. He just had like the fourth or fifth statistical best season in NBA history. So
we don't even have an argument about it then.
Now move next sport. Let's go.
No, we don't even go to next sport yet because I'm bringing up a topic that I didn't put in our notes. I wanted it to be fresh in the mind, and I wanted to hear from the insides without studying behind it and how you felt.
I'm going to Google it.
Even Adam Silver has brought it up recently about the fact that NBA players, if you're not injured, taking off for whatever reason they want to call it, right? And I feel like the awards is a good reason to talk about it. You got to play 70 games, I believe, or 70% of the games to be able to be eligible for an NBA award, which is 58 games, correct? You just said it?
Yep.
It's insane in my mind that you can miss 22 whole games as an NBA player and still be eligible for an award that says you were the best at doing something throughout the season. And with Silver bringing it up that, hey, we need to figure out in the NBA, like either these guys, we shorten the season and they play all the games because they're not injured. They're just taking breaks because they're tired. The NBA season is already really long in my mind. Like if you think of it mentally, end of October to June, if you make the finals.
Yeah,
it's a really long era of time.
It's a super long season that's far more violent than baseball, or I don't want to say than football or hockey, but it's how violent it is for how long the season is. It does take a toll on your body. So
I agree with you, but in my mind, and we can talk about the Westbrooks and the Hardens here because it comes down to like conditioning and physical abilities, and we've seen those two guys now over the years. They're not beating that guy on the first step anymore. They're not the fastest guy on the court, so they're not getting that free layup or that foul going down the line because they beat someone. Where does it go? Like, how do you make people understand that, like me and you want to go see, let's say, Dallas play. We'll just say Dallas, right? You want to go watch the Mavericks play the Lakers because you want to go see LeBron play. Probably won't play. Street clothes is not going to be out there. Let's be honest. That's a long travel. He could put on his outfit and just go hang out at night rather than play basketball. Where does the NBA draw a line to where, like, we need to figure out how to get the superstars on the court because that's what sells tickets?
I'm glad you brought that up because I did think we texted about this the other day and we started talking about this. There's only one way. I'm not saying this is the right way. The one thing I will say about the NBA is they seem to make the right moves that matter, right?
Yeah.
They've increased their net worth exponentially over the last 10, 15 years. They seem like they're doing the right thing. They believe in self branding. They're selling the brand.
Yeah.
Um, there's only one way you get some to incentivize somebody, right? And you start screwing with somebody's money, their mindset changes completely. So I believe one of the downfalls of the NBA is a guaranteed contract, right? Because you are guaranteed, you sign for a $40 million season, you're making $40 million for 82 games, regardless if you play in 82 games.
Yeah.
I think you start incentivizing these contracts, right? Like maybe if your players don't hit X amount of games, you start capping onto that luxury tax as a team. Or it's kind of hard to say we're not going to pay you if you don't play, because if you're legitimately hurt, then it sucks that you're not getting a paycheck just because you're actually out. But there's reasons that guys like LeBron are playing 19 seasons is because, I'm sorry, his ankle was not hurt worth 20 some games. He
No.
was taking games off to rest. He was trying to baby it in to get into the playoffs. It didn't work this time. But like Kawhi is notorious for taking games off. So is Durant. You know,
Yep.
um, I would say either you incentivize, so either your contracts are
Contract.
only worth X amount. So let's say these supermax deals, 5 years, 240 million, are only worth 180 million. But if you play X amount of games over that time, let's say 90% of your games, injury or not, that's when you get the boost in pay. Or if teams are allowing their players to take time off, then you start taxing the shit out of them, right? I mean, that's kind of like we're in America. What happens? You're not listening. We're going to tax your ass off. Then you'll listen. So
Yeah.
I don't know the
That's
right
it.
answer to that, because my thought is I think about it as being like a middle class guy who loves sports. But like if I ever take my kids to a game or I ever go to a game, I mean, I've been in a game where like D Wade didn't play. Like the first ever been to a game, first ever Heat game I went to go watch, D Wade didn't play, and it was clearly a
Injury
rest
or
game.
no?
It was a
It
rest
was
game. It
just
was
a
it was
rest.
it was
Yeah.
championship season, and it was right as they were getting ready to go into the playoffs.
It's frustrating.
Was it 2004, 2005, something like that? When Shaq
Before
won it.
LeBron was there,
Yeah,
when Shaq was
when Shaq
there.
won a championship with him.
Yep.
And Shaq had a crazy game, by the way. He had like 8 or 9 blocks in the game. It was awesome. But D Wade didn't play for rest, and I was like, man, this kind of sucks, man, because we chucked out like $400 for tickets to go watch a
Yep.
game, and some
Exactly.
monster seats. So that's what I kind of think of as like these, especially kids that go watch these guys play, and it is a business. You have to take care of your body. You have to go, but I don't know, man. I maybe make the owners pay because they can afford it, but ultimately, in the line of work you and I are in now, what's the number one way to get? I don't want to drop some bad lingo here, but to get people in line is you start screwing with somebody's money, and then things generally change real quick.
I well and I don't disagree at all, actually. I think Adam Silver's kind of on the lines of trying to figure out how to get this to work. And you said it, I think, the best way you could possibly say it. I can remember being a kid, we'd go to Heat games, but if we went to like a Heat Bulls game in the 90s, I expect to show up to see that game. I want to see Jordan as much as I
Yeah,
hated him then. I want to see Pippen. I want to see Rodman. I want to see them all playing, and I want to see them beat the crap out of the Heat, even though I won't be happy about it.
yeah,
But that's
yeah.
that's what I paid to go watch because I want to see it. And as a kid, that's all I could think of. Like, why wouldn't they play? Why wouldn't you do your job?
Well, I mean, courtside tickets to hell any NBA game, but let's say you're a Knicks fan. All right, I'm sorry, but and Julius Randle sits out, your best player, and he sits out for rest, and you just
How
paid
pissed are you?
probably 3 or 4 grand for a piece for courtside tickets, and you don't get to
Yep.
watch this. Now, if you're buying tickets like that, more than likely you can afford to buy another one, but that's beside the fact here. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, um, I believe if any league can make it right, it will be the NBA. I do believe that.
Yeah.
I believe Silver can do it right. And will we see it this year, next year? Probably not. I think he's going to tailor the league to LeBron because we are seeing the last 2 or 3 years of LeBron's career. So I think he's going to tailor it because he is still your top 2 or 3 moneymaker in the league.
See,
So,
and I kind of don't agree with it because I think there's so many young players under 25 now that I agree. LeBron is probably the number one facet for the NBA. Like
yeah.
that's the moneymaker they've got, but they've got so many young kids that are
Oh,
so
yeah.
talented out of this world that can make up for the void of him. Once it's over and
Or
he's
even
done.
even like a Steph Curry, man, because like Steph Curry has a huge following compared to like
Yeah,
Durant and Kawhi, who are both kind of like villains of the league, if you will. But I mean, it would be stupid for them to make drastic changes that take away from these guys. But like then
But it
again,
needs to.
you want to. It's crazy, man. I'm very curious. I've thought about this for a long time. I'm kind of curious where though.
All right.
I think that's the one league that'll get it right, though. At least they will at least make an attempt, screw it up, and fix it again because they have been known to do that for the last 20 or 30 years.
All right, shit, man, we're
We're at
55 minutes in. We
yeah.
haven't even hit the NFL yet, and luckily the NFL gave us not much to go off of.
Yeah, we'll make it quick.
Yeah. So, all right, NBA's done. We've talked enough about it. Obviously, the fans have really enjoyed it because I've seen them getting on and paying attention to it.
I love it.
But so NFL news this week. You got Carr. Carr got the big contract extension, $121.5 million. I don't know what the years were for it, so don't even ask me.
4 years.
Oh, okay. From a fantasy point of view, and that's the way I look at it. I love that it's up there. So this right here is the example, and he's going to get paid. It's going to happen. He did get paid, but he's led the NFL in turnovers and losses over the last 5 seasons. And I think he's tied with Matt Ryan, is what it says at the bottom there. So to pay this guy, I don't think he got max deal. I don't believe that's the number that $121.5 million extension is. It gives you max deal. It's not at all. But the Raiders see something in him. I think the crazier number that was in there, and I told you about that. I believe since he's been in the league, the Raiders haven't been above 20th in points per game in the league. So
man, it's so hard.
It's hard to say that like he deserves the money because I think he does. I think he throws the ball well. Maybe he's got guys that don't go in the end zone. Are there guys like that? They see the end zone. They're like, nah, I'm good. I'll go out of bounds. I don't understand it because he's definitely usually I'd say top 10 in yards per season.
I mean, the dude was 4,800 yards last year. It had to be top 3 or 4 in the league. I mean, at one point, we were talking about him as the MVP week 7 or 8 last year.
I agree with you. So, and then it seems like he falls off every year, though. Like week 10, he just starts fading into this, third tier of quarterback in the NFL.
I could see that. I could absolutely see that. I mean, I'm really trying to bring up to see like his overall like season numbers, but I mean, last year they went like, damn, that's bad. 3-6
at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, that's pretty bad. 3-5, and then this year, what do they go again? It's probably not good. You had a crazy game against against the Chargers where they failed us as an organization and as a league that they both didn't tie on purpose. I was so pissed that those guys didn't do it.
So they can go both get in there? Yeah.
I would have done. I'm sorry. I am that kind of person that if I'm a head coach or I'm an owner of a team, I go, we both lay an egg. I don't care if it's kickoff and we lay the ball in the middle of the field. We all just lay here and play cards. But this is happening. We both go to the playoffs. But
so
it's a whole other conversation.
When I look at this, and last week, anybody that's watching right now or heard us, whatever, we're going to base everything in the quarterback realm off of baseline Mayfield from now on.
Yeah.
So if I look at baseline Mayfield's numbers, I believe Carr's played 4 more years than him, maybe 5, might be 4. He's got double the games almost. I believe it's
45 to 88, so it's exactly double. Just call it that.
If you look at the yards and touchdowns, it's not more than double. It's way more than that. So in my mind, Carr is a better quarterback. But yeah, I see you looking at it. So you're going, damn, if Baker plays 4 more years,
it's actually spot on.
The same numbers. Yes.
Are we watching Derek Carr? Are we watching Baker Mayfield year 12?
Exactly. So when I looked at the numbers, I was like, are you kidding me? And this guy also, he throws the ball, he fumbles and throws interceptions like a champion. Is this the problem? I don't know. Now, as a stat guy, and we're talking about it, this is what we say. As a Carolina Panthers fan and somebody who has Sam Darnold out there, or we're still talking to Cam Newton. I love Cam Newton. I'm an Auburn fan. I'm a Carolina fan. I love Cam Newton. There's no other way about it. I don't want Cam Newton to come back to the Panthers no matter what happens. But if you told me Derek Carr was going to go to the Panthers, I'd be like, let's do it. Let's see it. I think it'd be amazing. But when you look at the numbers, it hurts.
I'm blown away by this right now, man. Like, I'm so glad we brought this up last week, and it's a thing now, right? So it is baseline Mayfield. I never would have
Baseline
thought this.
Mayfield.
Here's the thing about Baker, and I'm just going to shoot his yards. So yards and touchdowns: 3,727 touchdowns, 3,822 touchdowns, 3,526, 3,017. Derek Carr: 3,221, 3,932, 3,928, 3,522, but 4,000, 4,000, 4,100, 4,800. So
I
he clearly
agree.
progressed as a player. So
It's
yeah,
hard though, isn't it?
I
Are you
never
going
would
to
have thought
pay
that. I
right
never would have
now?
thought that.
Okay. So say they're off, let's say they're off 10%, right? So 10% is the number in my mind that I'm using right now as a Miami Dolphins fan, the opportunity to get Baker Mayfield at $105 million for 4 years.
Right now,
Right now,
I
what do you
would.
say?
So this is going to be a long-winded answer. I'm
Without
sorry.
without pulling up Tua's numbers, don't look at them.
Damn it. I have to say that as a stats guy, I have to go with Baker because I believe the numbers do mean something, right? But here's the bad thing about Baker's numbers is I know what Derek Carr's teams were 8 years ago. They were straight shit. Those teams
Yeah,
were awful, just awful. He had a 12-3 season, but there was a 3-13, 7-9, 6-9, 4-12, which I don't think were his fault entirely. But
100%. Yeah, not
Baker might have
100%.
been on the best team in the NFL last year that didn't compete. We're playing Moneyball here. You have to go. I look at that now; it blows my mind. And I probably would have been paying closer attention to that if I was like, I want Baker on my team.
Well, you
But
know what got brought up? We've talked about it. Carolina possibly putting in some trades for Baker, and I've said it. I don't. I don't not like Baker Mayfield. I actually like that he's out there and he says what he says and he says it. He lives off his sleeves. Everything's just whatever anyone wants to hear, he's going to tell you. So I enjoy that fact. But do I think he's worth the money that I think he wants to get paid to get moved over to Carolina? I don't believe so. Do I think he makes Carolina a better team? Yes, 100%. There's no way you can tell me you'd rather have Sam Darnold over Baker Mayfield. And if it's an argument you want to have, go ask any Jets fan how they feel about Sam Darnold.
yeah, I'm actually baffled by this. I wish you'd have texted me this before because I would have really went down the rabbit hole on this.
I know you would have. That's why I like leaving certain numbers out for you so you can just see it straight up face action.
Well, I've been a huge Derek Carr supporter for the last couple of years. Just like I'm a huge Kirk Cousins supporter because I believe the numbers don't lie, man. They are legit. But I mean, also a big difference between them is Derek Carr's throwing for 70%, Baker's barely breaking 60.
I see. So you see the small numbers in there that definitely make the difference.
Yeah,
but if we're gonna go off baseline, and I think that's gonna be the big topic for the next, let's say 6 weeks, because you got the draft coming up, and I think he's gonna be a part of the draft.
Yeah,
however that movement happens.
I make the proclamation right now. This is how you convince me is show me numbers like this. Baker Mayfield deserves another chance. I'm not saying he deserves a chance to start, but I'll look at those numbers, and if I'm sitting here in the front office or I'm a casual fan, I'm definitely not a casual fan, but I would say give him another shot. But I also look at the teams he was on because that team this year was stacked, man. Deshaun Watson healthy on this year's team on the Browns, those guys are Super Bowl contenders. And it's
100%. And there's a reason they paid him the money they did is because they think that and they know it. I don't disagree with it. I think it's a fun conversation that we'll keep continuing to have because, Baker's going to be the topic of the NFL for the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Who does he help? Who does he not help? What does he do? I believe he's a faction in the draft and how it works out. I believe there's going to be a trade with him involved to, Seattle, Carolina, a team that needs a quarterback that could possibly compete for a playoff position. And he's kind of that guy. I don't want to go too much down the rabbit hole, though. Next week, 100% next Sunday, we're, 4 days before the draft. I can guarantee you, for everybody watching, everybody that's going to listen later, I'm pointing at you. We are going to talk NFL draft next week.
Probably
be NFL
the majority.
draft.
Yeah, we're probably going to hit draft pretty hard. And for the following weeks after that, especially the Sunday after. We'll be going into that as well.
Yeah. So, other big news in the NFL, you had Watkins to Green Bay.
Yeah,
I think it's a move to get a receiver in there. I don't know who the hell Aaron Rodgers is going to throw to for a full season, but maybe they're making moves to have like an older guy come in and maybe a couple rookies help out the team. They get lucky in the draft. I don't know.
and Julio Jones, has he signed anywhere yet? I don't think he has.
No, he hasn't. So would that be scary? I don't even know if I'd want to see.
Nah.
You don't think so? You think Julio's past it? He can't put in like 1,000-yard season?
Scary? No. I mean, there's some people believe that Larry Fitzgerald 3 best seasons of his career came later in life than what after his 32nd birthday. So it can be done as a receiver, but we're also talking Larry Fitzgerald, maybe the second or third greatest receiver of all time. Like I
Yeah,
don't know.
Julio week 3 will have a hurt ankle and we'll be questioning every week as to whether he's playing or not. That
Yeah,
seems to be the normal thing.
agreed.
I just thought that was maybe some news. Stephon Gilmore to the Colts. It looks like the Colts are kind of building a defense a little bit stouter and stouter.
Yeah,
Not going the way people thought. I think they thought they were going to pick up the Honey Badger out of Kansas City. They didn't pick him up. The Colts is an organization that's always, I don't want to say baffled me because that's not the words I've used. They won a Super Bowl. They've done the work. They've competed for what seems like 20 years in my mind, minus a season or two here or there.
it does help when Peyton Manning falls in your lap, but at least you got an owner who is. I mean, you want these owners who are, not the Stephen Rosses who feel like they're on life support, who are just sitting around, but like you, maybe the Patriots are the one organization are the anomaly to that, but this big flamboyant owners generally want to build teams and they throw around the cash. So you would think Irsay is one of those guys, but the Colts are building a team that people better watch out for next year.
I agree with you.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody within our little group here picks one of them to win the Super Bowl next year,
Ooh.
or at least to make a run for it and play in the Super Bowl. So
I bet you if you guys, everybody listening, stands by and waits till August, they'll hear if we pick that or not.
yeah, remember it here. You all heard it here first. Or you didn't hear. You heard it here that we're going to say it first in August. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Other than that, there wasn't a ton of NFL news in my mind, unless you've got anything else. I think NBA was kind of the big thing this week.
Yeah, we have that wide receiver bullet we'll put up. We'll save that for next week because
so we'll do draft and we'll do wide receiver talk. Top 10 currently in the NFL wide receiver talk. Join us, enjoy it. I don't know. Maybe we'll help you in fantasy somehow with the rookie draft. I don't know. Who knows?
I like it. Yeah, we'll next week going to be definitely an NFL heavy discussion. Next probably 2 or 3 weeks, realistically. May throw in some hockey just because they're in some wild playoffs right now, but maybe not.
I thought the playoffs start at the end of the month. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Did they just start, or they're getting ready to start? See, yeah, just showed you how much it.
But I guarantee you, I'll watch more playoff hockey than I'll watch of a Major League Baseball season. I'll put that on the books.
Unless there's a perfect game, then I'll start watching.
Well, I'd be really mad if I watched 8 innings of it and somebody took the pitcher out.
All right, yeah, I got nothing else, man. We'll be ready for next week. We'll for those of you who did tune in, whether it may be brief or not, maybe we'll see you guys next week. We'll start building this fan base to fan base. So
one fan.
One fan.
You moved to 2. I was a lone wolf. Now there's 2.
Now there's 2.
All right. Thanks, guys. Happy Easter. You can find us Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon.
We are on Amazon as well. So if you search Statistically Opinionated, it'll be the logo that you see up on the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Yeah. We're part of several Facebook groups. One of the big ones we share across right now is Ready Break.
Hit them up. You can chat away with us on that. Yeah.
We also have our own Facebook page, which is where you'll get most key information because it updates automatically there. So we're trying to get that Twitter handle alive as well. So we're starting to see a little bit of success out of there. So we'll probably start beefing that up a little bit as well.
Yep. I had fun, guys.
Cool.
Thanks, man.
See you.